Hello, this is your brother from another mother, Mark DeJesus, bringing you insights and resources for your healing journey. Today, I want to get into the subject of perfectionism. This is a very deep struggle for many. And if you have come into my channel in relation to my OCD related materials, then perfectionism is definitely in play because OCD is a manifestation of nuclear level perfectionism. But many of us are realizing that we have an influence of religious perfectionism in our faith walk, or just everyday perfectionism where the mindset of just right, yet never enough, seems to keep us in cycles. And one of the manifestations of perfectionism is it steals our joy. And today I want to talk about taking back your joy from perfectionism. It's time that we take a stand and actually take back what was stolen. Because for many of us, we're realizing in our life that perfectionism has stolen a lot of things. It's stolen a sense of peace. It's stolen a sense of love. It's stolen a sense of joy in our lives. And so today what I'd like to do within that context is bring out a question that was submitted to me. And in many ways, it summarizes what the battleground of perfectionism does to our life and our journey, especially in how it steals joy. And I'd like to take a minute and look at this. The question says, "Hello, Mark and Melissa. I have enjoyed listening to your audios through different times in my life. I can very much relate to your content, especially the topics of OCD and perfectionism. One question I have from my life personally is related to how perfectionism has stolen so much joy and focus away from daily living and how to break free from it. I have tried so hard to break free from this, but it seems to just come back to haunt me. No matter what I do, it always seems to have a way of sneaking back in. I know what freedom and living in joy and a sound, clear mind feels like. I have tasted it throughout my life at different times. I love that. But all too soon, that sneaky little monster has a way of coming back in, whispering into my ears what I could have done differently or better. It comes in such subtle ways, always critiquing everything I do, from daily conversations with people to just my own thoughts, etc., that I don't realize that I agreed with until it's already made me believe that what it said is true." How many of you relate to this feeling? That these sneaky thoughts that begin to enter in, critiquing your every move, critiquing what you do, critiquing even what you say, critiquing your past, critiquing your present, critiquing your thoughts. Just right, never enough. Just right, never enough. Just right, never enough, right? It's maddening. In the midst of this, she's expressing what it's stealing is her joy. And so she talks about how it comes in subtle ways. And there's this sense that, we tend to believe, what it's saying is true in our lives. So it gets a deeper hook back in to steal our joy. Then when I realize that I am believing and thinking that, I try to think differently. And I even tell Satan out loud that he has to leave me. Now, what I sense here already, and I'll get into this a little bit more, is trying to attack perfectionism pressure with pressure. I got to get these thoughts out of here. I got to make this stuff go away. I'm going to fight the devil. I'm going to fight these spirits. The thing is, though, is we're attacking pressure with pressure. So it amplifies things. And as I'm going to get into this, it's going to take a more modified response when we're dealing with perfectionistic pressure. But for some reason, the pain and the emotions associated with that thought are still there. No matter how hard I try to tell it to leave me, I get so weary of trying. You can see here in the question the exhaustion and the weariness it brings about. It affects how I relate to people in everyday conversations, how I am productive at home, as a wife, etc. She can feel the weight of pressure that perfectionism brings on her life. All I want is that the mind-boggling thought of not being okay would just vanish. And that I would be okay with not always having to get everything perfect. And that I could function properly as a wife, friend, and just be myself as a person without feeling like I always have to critique everything I say and do. Thanks for speaking up about these issues. Blessings to you and your family. Well, it's an honor to speak to these areas and these struggles because these are real struggles that Christians face day to day. And I would say Christianity is a very vulnerable place for perfectionism to invade because we as Christians believe in doing what is right, having good moral values, having good relationships, being proper, appropriate, wherever that goes. But it can welcome, unless those areas are nurtured in compassionate grace, then what happens is the ways of God become forces of pressure that accuse us, condemn us, and torment us versus inviting us into an empowering journey. And it took me realizing the toll that perfectionism took on my life to realize I got to begin to make some changes. I got to begin to do some overhauls because perfectionism is stealing my joy. And I specifically want to target that. Why does perfectionism have a way of stealing our joy? It's important that we realize these influential factors that take place in our life. Because first, the reason that perfectionism steals our joy is the focus. The focus of perfectionism trains us primarily to focus in on what's wrong and what's flawed. And it consumes your perspective. So you can't see what's good. You can't appreciate what's good. You're focused on so much on all the problems, the issues, the things that you're doing wrong, the areas that don't measure up. And the more we feed this, it becomes compulsive, so the obsession increases. That becomes our default setting, to look at what's wrong. And for many OCDers, you check for what's wrong. Even when everything's all right, you check for something that's wrong, so therefore it inflames this, and it steals your joy. 2, your energy is spent on fixing instead of learning to be loved, learning to love and be loved. So you're always busy fussing over fixing yourself. Or even in your relationships, you're trying to fix others, always trying to fix situations. And so what happens is, instead of learning to be loved, you're focused on fixing. And a focus on fixing doesn't build healthy relationships. In fact, you're always examining your internal world with a fixing mindset. So you're always trying to fix your emotions before you even know what is it about my emotions. Many times, perfectionists, they're trying to fix their emotions before they actually understand what it is they're feeling. As soon as a disturbing emotion arises, you have a quick impulse to go fix it, and you haven't even really discovered what's going on yet in your emotions, why they're even there, what's even happening, because you've jumped quickly to the fixing. You're always trying to fix, make better, do better, and it becomes a compulsive lifestyle. So it steals your joy. Number 3, you're not able to be present in life. And in order to have joy, joy requires that we experience the moment. Joy requires that we let go and let ourselves be immersed in what's in front of us. But instead, we're focused on what needs fixing. So therefore, we can't enjoy what's in front of us because we're trying to fix what's in front of us. You may realize in your journey that you get lost. Joy gets stolen because you're lost in the past or you're lost in the future. You're lost in fixing something. So in even being present, it's not about the moment. It's about fixing something in this moment. And it tells you, you can't move on until this thing's fixed. So therefore, don't even bother trying to experience joy until you get this issue totally fixed. But it's never enough. Number 4 is you live a life under constant pressure. And the greatest pressure is internal. It's how you deal with yourself. It's how you see yourself. The rules that you apply to your thoughts, your actions, your journey. The way that the internal critic gets inflamed. You have a hostile relationship with yourself. So everything in life needs to meet this intensely high standard or you cannot settle. Therefore, you don't settle. Number 5 is important, especially in how religious perfectionism invades is a religious spirit influences your faith walk. Now, when I talk about a religious spirit, I'm talking about layers of thinking, a conglomeration of how we approach God. There's some legalism, there's some Pharisaicalism, there's law, there's self-pressure, there's performance-based stuff. That's all in this big concoction of toxic thinking that invades your life. So religious pressure becomes a way you relate to God. And one of the signs of a religious spirit in someone's life, in a community, in a church, in a family, is an absence of joy. It's at the top of the list of the influence of a religious mindset, a religious spirit, a way of religious perfectionism that's shackling the people. It's a great sign of it. It's a loss of joy. 6 is that your life is performance-based. How you feel, try to feel safe, how you think you're going to be okay, how you try to experience peace, it's based on your performance. You have a constant performance evaluation. The sister who sent the email question, you can see in there, she can't experience joy like many of us struggle to experience joy because she's performance evaluating herself. When you're editing yourself, when you're trying to give yourself a performance evaluation, you can't actually enjoy the relationship interaction that's in front of you. And so performance teaches us get to the rules, and it becomes a higher value than grace relationship. So I had to make a shift in value in my life. That relationship interaction, grace, learning to be present, love, is more important than performance and achievement. That I had to shift my value system because perfectionists value so much things being just right, it takes over. It takes over everything, and they're very, very heavily performance-based. Your joy is stolen, number 7, because the fear of failure haunts you, because mistakes and failures are seen as the end. Shame is underneath perfectionism. And there is this shame that you must present things right, do things right, have it together, or you won't be loved. And it's a lie. So it teaches you, number 8, that weaknesses and flaws are unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. So everything I'm sharing with you is just sucking the joy out of the room. So therefore, you spend a lot of time hiding your flaws and hiding from your flaws. I don't want people to see it. I don't even want to see it myself because it's too painful, because it tells me I'm unloved. So therefore, you take yourself too seriously. You take yourself way too seriously. So the lie is, I will experience joy when I get this taken care of. So you're super serious. Your focus is under pressure. Meanwhile, joy is getting extracted. And I think for Christians that are suffering under the influence and wrestling with the mindset of perfectionism, we have to realize that we've been taught improper Christian metrics. When we think about a Christian that's growing, what does a healthy Christian look like? We immediately we're checking off all the boxes. We look at church attendance. We look at Bible reading. We look at prayer. All great things, but we look at them as checking off the boxes. And when we don't, we're failures. Or we don't do them enough or well enough, we're failures. When the Bible talks about metrics, so to speak, of walking by the Spirit, do you know what Paul taught us? The fruit of the Spirit. Jesus said, you shall know them by their fruit. And we've put emphasis on the wrong fruit. We've put the emphasis on religious performance metrics as the sign of a healthy Christian. You read your Bible this much. You pray this much. You know this much theology. You know these what positions you have. And we don't get back to the basic fruit the Bible talks about. The greatest fruit being love, that you have love for one another. You shall know them by the fruit, and you shall know them by the love they have for each other. And Paul expressed the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy. Joy is number 2 on the list. When was the last time that when we talked about the mark of believers, that we talked about joy being a part of that? I don't hear that much. I hear a bunch of performance metrics, and I might hear love in there, and we kind of just throw it out there. The Bible talks about it, but is it really practiced? And are we recognizing that joy is our birthright and joy is ours to manifest? The joy of the Lord is your strength, that we ought to be investing in avenues of our life that increase joy. Do we in our churches, in our families, in our personal life, do we invest in the manifestation of joy? And it's funny how a religious mindset has really, really strapped down and put into bondage this area of joy. Our church services, our gatherings, there should be extravagant joy. Our small groups should have extravagant expressions of joy. Now, because it's not there, don't take it in condemnation and shame, and God doesn't love me, and that means God's not here. No, the joy is there. We need to take it back because it's been stolen. We actually need to actively, just as we need to actively receive love, say yes to love, and give out love, we need to actively say yes to love, say yes to joy, process joy, express joy, give joy out, encourage joy, and let joy be contagious amongst our relationships. How much are we actually valuing joy? Are we valuing things that are actually stealing joy? Something to think about. So I want to tell you some things you begin to take back. Your brother from another mother is going to encourage you to take back your joy. And just take away one of these. Don't get overwhelmed by all of them. And I know perfectionists like lists. They like to write things down. Give me the 10 things, Mark. They want to write it down their list and put it there. These are things to stir up new perspectives. They're not rules to follow. They're to stir you up in new mindsets and perspectives that then manifest new behaviors. First thing I want to tell you is all perfectionists, we have to recognize your current way of listening to perfectionism is stealing joy. We have to sober up. We have to sober up and realize I'm continuing in a pattern that's further tormenting me and stealing joy from my life. And I gotta make a decision. And number 2 is I'm going to make a decision to let compassionate grace embrace me. I love how that rhymes. Compassionate grace embrace. It's beautiful. Make a decision. And this is a decision. This isn't when I feel it or when it's all feeling just right. No. It's a decision. Enough is enough. I'm going to let God's compassion and grace embrace me. I'm going to let God love me. I am not loved because I have it together. I look like I get it together. I do things right, or I get things done just right, or I have my thoughts right or anything. No. I am loved right now, and I say yes to that love. And grace points me to his power working in my life. I'm going to let go of this striving. And even in this email question, you feel that pressure and that striving, and you're trying to fight back and trying to fight back. This perfectionist stuff, you don't fight pressure with pressure. You fight pressure with letting go and being loved. Instead of trying to fix all the things that you fuss about your life and your thoughts and where you're at, embracing it. Love causes you to embrace. Love and compassionate grace causes you to face and embrace your failures, your mistakes, weaknesses, and your flaws. See it and have joy in the midst of it, knowing you are loved. It actually turns us to love in a greater gratitude because we realize, wow, I'm loved in this mess. I'm really loved in this whole hot mess that's going on here. Yep, that's amazing. Because the perfectionist gets lost in trying to fix, and they don't connect to the love that's right here in front of us, available to us. Unconditional love, though, is very uncomfortable to a perfectionist. Because perfectionists only know a version of love that's counterfeit. That's, I will feel love when. Let me go back to that email for just a second, where she wrote, then when I realize I'm believing and thinking that, I try to think differently. So you put pressure. I got to think differently. Not this way. I got to think that way. Is that thought there? It's still there. Satan, get out, right? Put pressure. No, love is a whole different modality. It's a whole different pathway. You say the pain and the emotions associated with that are still there. So you have pain and you have difficult emotions, and you're trying to make them go away. And what I'm saying is, in your healing journey, we need to let love shine on those areas. Because love says, it's okay, you're not okay. We're on a journey. We're on a journey. Those things are going to work through you, and you're going to learn. A perfectionist needs a new relationship with pain and emotions. And so you said, they're still there no matter how hard I try to tell it to leave me. So I get weary of trying. It affects how I relate to people because it's making you at war within yourself. And we need healing in the war within ourselves. We've become enemies to ourselves. So I'm going to encourage you, number 3, we're going to slow down. I'm going to take a deep breath because slowing down gets us into relationship rhythm. Stop the fast-paced life, the go, 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 do better, do better, do better, do better. And here's what we're going to do. You're going to start noticing, number 4, the pressure points in your life. Just identify the pressure. Where there is pressure is the presence of perfectionism. Where are your pressure points? I even sense in your email, you got to be a good mother. You got to be a good mother. It's pressure. You're not going to be a great mother out of pressure. We're not going to be a great anything out of pressure. It's out of being sons and daughters that we learn along the journey. And we're going to have to learn to let go of pressure. What's the pressure you have on yourself? Because that's a big aspect of healing. Right here in number 4, this is where the rubber meets the road. We have to learn to let go every day of pressure because this is what's sneaking in, the critical pressure. And so the shift that has had a big help in my life is number 5, learning to focus on enjoyment. Perfectionists don't focus on enjoyment. It's duty, getting things done, making sure we do what's right. Gotta, pressure, just right, but never enough. Enjoyment is part of the language of relationship. When I learn enjoyment, I learn how to connect with people, with God, with others in more meaningful ways. Perfectionism, guilt, anxiety, performance, those things don't build fruitful relationships. And perfectionism encourages all of that. It encourages guilt. It encourages pressure. It encourages following anxiety, following performance pressure, following go busyness, following come on, do better, shaming yourself, blaming yourself, all that. That doesn't build healthy relationship with God, yourself, or other people. But we still follow it, right? Because of the conditioning it's done in our life. And so I have found perfectionism can sneak into anything. I could be doing a woodworking project, and I enjoy that. I could be out in the yard and I enjoy working on my yard. And 10 minutes into it, I'm fussing and I'm stressed out. I now learn to pause. I feel the symptoms. Oh, I let that thief come in and speak and whisper to me a bit here. And I'm here all knotted up, something I enjoy. So I pause and I'll even say to myself, you know what, God? I'm standing here mowing the lawn and I lost my joy. I'm going to focus back on enjoyment. I get to do this. And that's a mindset that's helped me too. I have moved from I have to do this mindset to I get to do this. Because when I talk about I get to do it, it causes me to frame what I'm doing with a welcoming of joy. Instead of I have to do this, I have to do this. You know what? I get to do this. And then this is what's interesting. It helped me to move towards learning and to focus on I like to do this. And finding the enjoyment in what I do, in relating to God, relating to others. Perfectionists, you've lost the joy in what you do because you do things under pressure. Time to recalibrate. Time to get back to the fundamentals of what it means to enjoy things again. So 6 is I'm going to let gratitude be more of a focus because perfectionists lose sight of gratitude. So here's the practical step. And many others say this too. This is an important shift. Perfectionists have high expectations. And so I want to encourage you to flood your expectations with appreciation. Here's what I mean. Many of you, your perfectionistic pressure beats up on your relationships because your focus is expectation. How you want them to be, how you want your husband to be, how you want your friends to be, how you want your neighbors to be, how you want this person to be. So those are never met. So you get angry, right? Because anger is a manifestation of an expectation not being met, right? That's one of the definitions that we could say of anger. It's an expectation not being met, and therefore it stirs up this indignant kind of feeling inside of you. They didn't call me back, and they act this way. How dare, right? Perfectionists become hard to have friendships with. We got to be honest. It's not the best friend to be friends with a perfectionist. So we got to recognize that soberly. It's also not easy to be married to a perfectionist because expectation overrides everything and people start to feel like nothing's good enough. So now you're not good, you're just right and never enough is now spewing out on everyone else. So flood your expectation with appreciation, with gratitude. When gratitude is flooding your thinking, things shift into a different perspective. Now, I'm not saying this to tolerate abuse and those kind of things. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm talking about where your perfectionistic tendency, you're so hard on yourself, that gratitude and appreciation. So therefore, you can't appreciate who you are and where you are. So this is even how you see yourself. Can you appreciate how you're wired? Can you appreciate your strengths and your goofiness? Can you appreciate your strengths and your weaknesses? Can you look at yourself with appreciation of how God's made you, even though there's flaws and there's struggles in your life and in your journey? Because transformation isn't going to happen under pressure. You've tried and you've tried and you've tried. It's now time to look to, instead of turning yourself with contempt, turn towards yourself with compassionate grace. So then this is where it gets real practical, real simple. We got to start learning to laugh and learn from your flaws and mistakes. Embrace them. Embrace them. Even this like checking for flaws, it's your safety mechanism. Instead, laugh at the flaws you see. Laugh at your mistakes. Laugh at the stuff that, and I know there's, Mark, you're telling me to laugh at stuff. Well, this had severe consequences. I know. You got to look at yourself and smile a bit, though. You got to learn to laugh at yourself. When was the time that you looked at yourself and you're a mistake and you laughed about it? This is a pastor giving you a spiritual question that's very important for your discipleship journey. Yes. When was the last time you looked at a mistake or flaw or some goofy aspect about you and you chuckled instead of drowning in shame and getting super serious and uptight? Sometimes we got to just step back and just laugh and have a good old chuckle because you take yourself way too seriously. Number 8, here's something I remind myself on a regular basis. Just be in the moment. Don't be stuck in the past, stuck in tomorrow. Be here right now. God is about the here and now. Now is the time. Today's the day. He's about here right now. Don't get lost. Don't get lost in fussing over stuff. Be here. Focus on the person in front of you that you're with and just be with them. That's it. When you're with your kids, just be with your kids. That's it. Nothing else. When you're with your spouse, be with your spouse. Nothing else. You're in a meeting, be in the meeting. You're at work, be at work. Be in that moment and live moment to moment. And the last two kind of go together. Number 9, I got to be honest with you, as your brother from another mother, loosen up. You got to loosen up. You're too uptight. Yes, you're too uptight. It's all right. It's all right. But your uptightness is removing joy. I had to say yes when opportunities to laugh, have fun, be silly in the midst of pressure. One of the great pressure releasers is just allowing silliness to just laugh, to just let go. Because many of you in your mental health battles, you get so serious. And last, I want to tell you, this is my pastoral prescription for you. Start having fun. Start learning what you have fun doing and take back the enjoyment of it. Because even the things that you enjoy and have fun, The perfectionistic stuff is getting in the midst of it and it's stealing it. It's stealing it. It's stealing it. Get back to having fun again. Have fun with what you're doing. Have fun at what you invest your time and energy into, and stuff that just lets you have fun and let go. Does this make sense for your life and your journey? Is stuff opening up where you're like, This is some stuff that I need to learn. I need to heal from. I need to start. Which one stuck out to you the most? If this was a blessing to your life and your journey, please like, subscribe, go to markdejesus.com where you can get access to more materials and insights for your healing and freedom journey. Well, listen, I am your brother from another mother who is here to just remind you that you are loved today. And it's time to let go in some of these areas. Where can you begin to let go in your life, in your journey, to take back the joy that's available? Well, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'll be back for some more insights and more perspectives for your healing and freedom journey. But you need to go have some fun. Get out there. In the meantime, I'm out.